can't do algebra. You need us to fix this stuff. So that's something. But one of the big problems I'm seeing now is I'm doing talks and I'm jumping like from an autism group that I might be at a tech company, that I might be at a regular commercial company that's not a tech company. We gotta bust up the silos. That's what we gotta do. Because for me, my identity is being a college professor and a scientist. Autism is an important thing, but it's secondary to the scientist. And I was just at lunch and we had a really good conversation with a guy that was on the spectrum. He's got good jobs, and he basically said, I drive the car, autism's a passenger. That's basically how he put it. But I'm seeing too many kids where it's becoming their entire identity. I don't know if that's a good thing. All right, let's start looking at the people who made it possible to go to the moon. Mission critical people. One of them was a weird algebra specialist who did algebra for play. And he did the formulas that made it possible for a 70-pound calculator, that's what they had for a computer in those days, 50 years ago, to land on the moon. And algebra was just a game. I've been looking up some stuff on the history of math. I found out in Babylonians there were people that made up algebra for fun. They didn't need it for taxes or for measuring land. Algebra was fun and games. That guy named Hal at MIT, just now starting to get recognized. Mission critical. A weird recluse in a messy office. That's all that's known about him. Sounds familiar. Had a chance to go visit NASA. You know what I found out? Special ed department builds the stuff there. How a dyslexic is designing launch control rooms. This is what makes me just so crazy as I go back and forth between the silos. I'm seeing too many people get stuck into the word. And as a visual thinker, that doesn't happen because I see people. Oh, go out to the tech companies? I've been there. They avoid the labels, totally. Don't you dare put the label on Steve Jobs. No, you can't do that. They avoid the labels completely. Yeah, they run Fortune 500 companies. That's inside the vehicle assembly building. Just some serious iron work right there. Yeah, I got really emotional. 50 years ago, our best and our brightest, we went to the moon. Now in the future, it's going to be things like quantum computing. The Chinese going to do it first, or do we do it first? Because some little math genius, they could do it here, is probably playing video games in the basement instead of studying linear algebra. I don't understand linear algebra. I just know how to find paper that I can give to the kid. It could be a door to something really, really cool. I got to sit in the original launch director's chair. Then, right after Notre Dame burned up, I'll never forget the United Airlines flight. I don't remember where it was going. But I was sitting in the window seat. They had the little TVs in the back of the seat. And I saw Notre Dame was burning. I didn't get the audio, but I could see it, and the titles were on there. And I kept thinking, who built this? And I looked up more stuff about flying buttresses, and I go, 11th century moonshot. And I had these, by making these thin walls, they could put in these beautiful windows. I recently just looked up some stuff about Michelangelo. Lousy student. Drew these kind of, super detailed, realistic drawings. I'm sure you've seen those around at these meetings. Was raised by a stonecutter. His dad wanted him to go to school and become learned so he could write business documents. It's not what he wanted to do. And around all the churches, they were just making art, so he'd go over there and watch and do it. He was exposed to it. Not much is known about him. He's a real little kid. But what happened to him today? Obsessed with art. It's all he was interested in. And a bad student. You know what's super interesting, and I'm working on getting some new slides together, is I found protein molecule patterns look kind of like this. Mathematics, it's embedded in a lot of things. Who were the cathedral builders? They were all apprenticed. They didn't go to school to learn it. They were just apprenticed into the job. And this launch pad right here, brand new launch pad, I visited this 2 years ago. A guy with Tourette's was in charge of this. So what would you rather be, Mr. Tourette's or Mr. Launchpad? Now, my mother had a very good sense of how to stretch me. Many of these kids are babied. She always gave me choices And when I was 15, I was afraid to go to my aunt's ranch, and she gave me a choice. I could go all week, or I could go all summer. Not going wasn't going to be a choice. But I'm seeing too many kids getting babied, and they're not learning basic skills like shopping. I'm also seeing many, many granddads coming up to me that discover they're on the spectrum, and the kids get diagnosed. But a lot of you guys are in the same generation I'm in. Social skills were taught in a much more structured manner compared to today. My grandfather was the co-inventor of the autopilot for airplanes, and he worked with a guy who was probably an Asperger type person with autism. A really, really super weird guy. And he came up with this crazy little idea for 3 little coils. Everybody in aviation thought it was stupid. My grandfather goes, I can make that work. They had to do a lot of tinkering, and they did. All right, let's look at who made the spacesuit.